we're going to get started right now with our special guest. We have lots of articles to talk about in the news that are super funny, but we have a special guest today. Sexy producer Michelle did a great job because our guest today is somebody that I have been watching ever since my kids were babies. And I looked up, every year we have the New Jersey Balloon Festival in New Jersey. And when I was looking at the schedule, our guest was on the schedule and is coming to New Jersey this weekend to perform. And some of you may know her. Some of you might be just introduced to her, but you're going to love her to death. Please help me welcome to the show the fabulous author, musician, and fabulous creative person. We're so excited to have her, Laurie Berkner from the Laurie Berkner Band. Hey, Laurie.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. I think you're calling in from California. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
No, that's the one who works for me. I'm in New York, so
thank you.
Not too bad.
Okay. I was going to say you look really good for 5:30 in the morning. I wouldn't look that good. So I have to tell you, I was so excited to hear that you're coming to New Jersey. My kids are all grown now, Laurie. So I've known about you for probably 20 years. Oh my God, Laurie Berkner, get her autograph. My preschool class loves her. That's from Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
So I have so many questions, but first I want to show you this just to prove that I have been a fan. I pulled this out of my my TV stand because I don't even think I have anything that will play it anymore. But this thing has probably been played and played and played over and over again. My kids and I. So I have a son named Dean, a daughter Jacqueline, and a daughter Brooke. And they're all musicians in some fashion. And so we used to have you playing as well as Rafi playing all the time, around the clock. So introduce you. So let me tell you this. She has 1 million streams across everything, 1.4 million albums sold, 15 award-winning albums. She's a 4-time platinum artist. She's performed at the White House, at Carnegie Hall, the Today Show, GMA, and today on One Funny Morning. So we are so excited. She's been called the Adele of the preschool crowd by the New York Times. Look, everybody is quoting "We Are Dinosaurs" in a jam. They're all quoting all of your songs. Last night, I pulled up on YouTube. My daughter is a violin major at Rowan University.
Oh, wonderful.
I accredit you as well as myself and Rafi for inspiring her. But we pulled up like Victor Vito, We Are the Dinosaurs, some of our favorites. How did you get started? Let's start there. I'm so excited you're here, Laurie. Go.
Well, thanks. Really, I got started because I got this job right out of college as a preschool music specialist. So I was supposed to be bringing in the music to them, but I had no experience and no idea what I was doing. And I had been a music counselor at a camp up in Vermont for a summer. I had worked at a daycare and I was like, oh, I could do this. So I got that job and it totally kicked my butt. Like I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know how to talk to the kids. I finally went and I observed the woman who'd had the job before me. Her name was Ruth Alperson. And I just remember like trying to walk into the classroom and the kids just running everywhere and me having no idea what to do with them and just being like, oh, come back. And then I'd run and grab one kid and then I'd come back and the whole rest of the class would have run to the other side of the room. So when I watched Ruth, I had a guitar and I could move and she was just sitting behind a piano and these 3-year-olds just like sat down, got up, walked around, did all the things she asked them to do. So I asked her, how did you do that? Like, what is your magic? And she said, just put it all in the music. So I started writing songs that gave the kids things to do and let them know how I wanted them to move and use their bodies. And We Are the Dinosaurs was actually, I think, probably the first song I wrote because I didn't know I tried to find music for them. I went to the library because this was kind of pre-Google and listened to a lot of songs, and I would bring them in and they would just be like, we don't like that song. It's a baby song. And so one day I said, well, what do you want to sing about? And one kid said, dinosaurs. And another kid said, yeah, dinosaurs. There was like a big uproar. And I said, great, everybody get up. Let's be dinosaurs. Let's start to march. And then I just kept saying things like, we're marching. Oh my gosh, they're starting to hurt each other. Okay, stop and eat your food on the ground. And then they would all do it. Oh, okay. Let's march. Okay, stop and take a rest. When they would start to get really loud. And by the end of that day, I kind of had an idea of, okay, there's this rhythm that's really important to watch in the kids and give them. It was so exciting to be able to sing about something that I could see they loved and that they wanted to be engaged with, and then give them ways to express all the different things they wanted to express, like being angry and loud, and also maybe missing their parents a little bit and being able to rest because they would get tired, and like giving them all of that within the music really changed completely my experience in the classroom and turned it into something I really loved to do.
And so how long from that time did you really find that you could make such an impact, like with the DVD and kind of putting yourself out there in a bigger way? Because that's a big jump, right?
Yeah. So I was writing songs. I just did it for the kids that I was teaching. And then I got another job doing that at another place because a friend of mine was also doing it. And he was like, actually, I think you would do better in this position. Like, why don't I recommend you for it? So I ended up at the West Side Y on the Upper West Side. And there was a woman there who suggested that I record the songs that I was writing, because I guess a lot of parents had been saying, my kids are coming home, they're singing about dinosaurs, they're singing these other songs about glasses and stuff that I've never heard of. So she gave me she didn't give it to me. She loaned me some money after I came up with a budget and said, okay, I'm going to make 500 cassettes and it'll cost me this much. And if I sell them at this much money, can I borrow this from you to do it? Right. So she lent me the money and I started actually selling those cassettes. And eventually many things happened in between, but eventually someone who was starting an early version of Nick Jr., which was called Noggin back in the days.
Yeah, I remember Noggin. Yeah.
Yeah. She was one of the creative people starting it. Her nieces had somehow gotten a hold of the tape. They lived in California. This woman, Amy Friedman, found my mother, who lives in California as well, in the phone book. And we met, and after I had also had a little stint on the Today Show, because there was another parent who worked on the Today Show. It was like, she's great. So there were just these things that happened. Yeah. And eventually once Noggin created an original show called Jack's Big Music Show. And they asked if I would kind of audition for it, make a video with them. They showed it to a bunch of kids and families. And the kids, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they said, who's your favorite character on the show? It's filled with puppets. And they got so many kids saying Laurie, who was just me in the band, that they decided to, instead of just have me in one episode, we became kind of like the house band, and we were in every episode. So that, and then we created ones that they showed in between. Actually, prior to the show, we made those ones that came out in between other shows that they were putting on their channel. They're called interstitials because they didn't have commercials. They did that, hey, you did really well on the Today Show. That was kind of an explosion when that happened for a short time. And why don't we see what happens if we make a bunch of videos and put them on our channel? And a lot of things happened.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like it was meant to be that, all of these things kind of came into place for you, which is so lovely. And so my kids are Dena and Jacqueline's age. This is bringing back so many memories. I know. Do you often get recognized by kids that are 20? They're like, oh my gosh, I totally watched you when I was a kid. Does that happen often?
That's so funny. I mean, that happens like on TikTok. Like I get a lot of, "Oh my God, you were my childhood. You raised me." I mean, very, very beautiful, wonderful things to hear. And a lot of teens and 20s who say, "I still listen to your music as my safety net."
Yeah.
And that's what I put on when I'm fighting with my parents. That's when I am feeling lonely at college. There just it's really, really nice. As far as getting recognized, it's usually more younger parents today who are newer to the music, and they're like, "Wait, you live next door to me." uh, so, because I can definitely be seen walking my elderly dog at all times of day or night, except for right now because I broke my foot a week ago and I haven't been walking.
Oh, you're kidding. Did you do it like Saving a Baby? Is there a good story of the broken?
Yeah. Oh, there's a great. No, I have a terrible story.
It's just like
So
I got out
boring.
of bed and I rolled.
Almost.
Yeah.
I was at the gym at a HIIT class. I wasn't even doing anything hard. I was literally stepping down off of a treadmill
No.
and I kind of rolled onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, I have a full summer, including the
The Balloon Festival.
Balloon Fest ahead of me of shows every weekend for I think the next 4 or 5 weekends. So and some multiple shows each weekend. So and the Balloon Fest is the first show I'm going to play with my broken foot. So I have a wonderful wonderful woman who's worked for me for years who is actually a dancer, so knows all my music. So she's going to come out on stage and like help me with movements and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Well, I
think
think
it'll be
it's
good.
so great that you talk about movement so much because I remember my kids being so young and, they just have so much energy. And so, we could put on like a Fantasia. We watched Fantasia over and over again from Disney and it was beautiful. And the visuals were so beautiful. But what's so great about your music is that it was very engaging and the kids were moving and they were listening and it was just such a great time. Like, I feel like when your kids are so young and like your home is your kind of respite where you can kind of get away for just a few minutes, to put your music on and be like, they're good for, a half hour. I can go make dinner. I can go do something. And they're not just kind of vegging out and it's just so active. We put on the Goldfish song too last night. And I feel like that was like another classic. But it was just funny last night. I had said to Brooke that you were going to be on the show. And she's like, because she's my youngest. So she would have, she was like, I think I remember her. And then I started playing the videos and she's like, oh, I remember. It was just, you just have so many. It's like when you go out, like when fall comes and that smell, it's like, it kind of brings back memories. And I feel like it's the same with music.
A lot of people, that's what they say to me is like, this was sort of the soundtrack of my kids' younger years, and that's, I mean,
I know
better than that.
I'm not the soundtrack of anybody's. Maybe the old menopausal years. I have a different genre.
I'm with you.
So maybe we could write some songs about menopause because I feel like they'd be a hit for a totally different reason.
Totally, I'm on it.
So what is Lois Lane? What is that? That was a band you were in?
Yeah. So at the beginning of my teaching days, I had an original band called Red Onion that was my own music, and then I was also in this cover band. It was all female cover band called Lois Lane because she don't need no Superman, and we played mostly lesbian bars and sports bars. So it was like either all men or all women.
Wow, that's fun. That's got to be different to watch. All right.
Yeah, it was fun. It was in the 90s. Was it in the 90s? Yeah, so I think we did songs from the 60s through the 90s. And I definitely learned a lot more about playing electric guitar. I mean, I just remember that band overlapped with when I kind of let the adult music go and really focused on kids stuff.
Wow.
And I remember the day that I was like, I went to a show last night. I was feeling really sick. Everybody screamed at me to play Freebird all night long. Everyone was drunk. The smoke was everywhere. I was playing till, I don't know. I think we used to play like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. So didn't leave there till 4 in the morning, driving home from Long Island, carrying my amp up a bunch of stairs in my non-elevator building, and like flopped into bed and had a birthday party to play like a couple hours later.
Wow.
Down in Bryant Park. And I went down to, not Bryant Park, Battery Park City. Okay. Beautiful, on the water of the Hudson River. And it was outdoors, and I went down there, and just like, it was really early, and I was trying to wake up, and then I learned all the kids' names. I would go to these birthday parties and learn everybody's name so I could sing it during the songs, like if I sang a song where I used kids' names. Yeah. And I was doing that, and I started playing something, and one dad was like jumping with his kid and said, "Play Victor Vito," which was
yeah.
And I was like, it is so much more awesome to have someone ask me to play Victor Vito than Freebird.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Why am I doing both of these things? Like, I could just be doing this. Like, I'm completely exhausted, and I'm so much happier out here in the open air, playing this music that I wrote, that feels like it's something that actually kids connect to, and the people who are listening are getting joy from. And like, these families, the parents and kids are loving each other. Like, while they're listening, they're experiencing this like beautiful connection. And it just completely flipped me, and I quit the band at that point.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great story. So I've been a comic for 20 years, and I feel like so many artists kind of follow that same path, right? Where you have to do everything in order to pay your bills and get your name out there and kind of, do all the hard work. But if you're lucky, you get that moment where you just say to yourself, like, I don't think I have to do both of these anymore. I think I could just lean into the thing that I've been creating the whole time. And so I think it's a great story. I think, we have a lot of moms that watch the show, and we have I don't know if we have lots of younger people, but I think that we have lots of really creative people that watch. And I think that creative process is great to hear about. And it's so lovely that it's been so successful for you. So how about, what's your favorite part of what you do? Is it what you just described, kind of just connecting with people? And
yeah, I mean, I love the meet and greets after the show are just, they're very special, because it gives me a chance to actually talk to the people who are listening and hear their stories. I also, and I love the concerts, but I also love being in the studio. Like, I really enjoy sculpting a song, and I don't do super produced things. I mean, I actually do have an entire album of EDM dance remixes of my songs, which was also really fun to do. So anyone who's like an old fan, if you want to hear like Monster Boogie and Boots and We Are the Dinosaurs, like in like boom, 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 it's very fun. Like, I highly recommend going and checking that out.
What is the name of that album?
It's called The Dance Remixes. Laurie Berkner, The Dance Remixes.
Good to know. Good to know.
But I love being in the studio. Like, the idea of creating something spare enough to really still connect, especially vocally with and rhythmically with kids. But the youngest kids are, they're tuning into language and that sound of the voice, and the words they're learning, the movements that come out of the music, which, like you said, I very, very consciously create interactive or movement-based parts of almost every song that I write. There are exceptions that are more about like self-empowerment and things like that. But I feel like that is something that I am listening for in the studio, and I spend a lot of time really working hard to create something that a kid is going to connect to, and that I'll feel really proud of as a musician, and hopefully all the musicians who played with me on it as well. So that's also a very fun part of the job.
That sounds like it. And so what's the span of your career? Because my son is 23. So how long have you been doing this? A a long time, right?
Yes. I started I started teaching in the early like 91, I think.
Oh,
And I put out my first album in 97. So that's been 26 years. That was We Are
wow.
the Dinosaurs. And then this is the 25th anniversary of my second album, which is called Buzz Buzz.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
so amazing. So when you talk about that creative process, like, creating that first album, that We Are the Dinosaurs, to what you're creating now, do you see a difference in yourself and how the songs that you're creating or the processes? Is it quicker now for you? Like, do you see any big differences after 20? Because I see it, like, I just wrote another hour of stand up. So sadly, I got divorced. I turned 50. All my kids moved out. Like, my life, my whole career was talking about kids and being married. And so it's, 20 years later, and I write a lot faster and cleaner. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a pretty comic, Laurie. We won't talk about it, but I've gotten cleaner, so you might like my stuff now. I'd like to believe there's a
Oh, yeah.
other side to Laurie Berkner as well, so
Yes.
I think you would like it.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, just because I write music for kids.
Yeah. I think having bourbon with Laurie Berkner one night might be on my bucket list. So just so you know, you might get a call. But I know you're tight on time. I could ask you a million questions. But let's just say you are going to be, in 2 days, you're going to be at the New Jersey Lottery's Balloon Festival at 1:30. So the Balloon Festival is an amazing festival in New Jersey. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, check it out. They have launches in the morning and at nighttime. There's like 75 to 100 balloons that go off in the morning and at night. It's one of the most beautiful things you can see. And Laurie will be performing at 1:30 on the 28th during that festival. So you can go and see her. You can find her.
Please, I just want to say, please bring water, maybe an umbrella. Like, they don't unless you buy those really expensive covered seats, it's not covered, and it's going to be like in the 90s.
Okay.
So I just want everybody to be safe. And I'm very excited to be doing the show. I can't wait actually to see what it's like with my foot. I think it's going to be like special for me, like my first show. But I just want everyone to make sure they're safe.
Yeah. It's New Jersey. Definitely. This is our high time. So good advice. So check Laurie out at laurieberkner.com. You can find her on social media at Laurie Berkner Band as well. And congrats on your anniversary. Any other things that you have coming up that I know that I saw you during the pandemic, you were doing a lot as well. Are you big on TikTok and the Insta and all of that as well?
Yeah, well, I do we are taking August off, but once a month, I just did this on Friday. I do on a free online show we usually do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And also just for the older fans, the Buzz Buzz, we are releasing it on vinyl in the fall. So that's actually out for pre-order already. And what do you think of that? My first album came out last year on vinyl. So I hope next year's Victor Vito is its 25th. So trying to create a little compilation of those vinyl albums, just, for fun and nostalgia.
Yeah. And nostalgia for sure. Well, thank you so much, Laurie, for joining us. And I hope everybody gets a chance to come and see you in person and meet you. And do yourself a favor, make sure you follow Laurie. She has amazing music. Tell your kids, your grandkids. I know there's lots of teachers here that are already familiar with you. But it was such a pleasure meeting you. And thank you for getting up. And maybe one day we'll have our bourbon in New York or write some menopause song. Let me know.
Perfect.
Always
I'll be calling you.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks, Dena.
So much, Laurie. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.